the intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
We're back, everybody, and usually I don't handle the grading situation kind of how we're going to do it this week. So for those that remember, we did our survey where y'all responded and said, hey, here's what we did or did not like about the month of September. Typically, what I do is I'll tell y'all what those are, maybe a live stream, and then every 3 or 4-ish months, we try to do like a recap of how things have been. Well, going to change it up this time. I'm actually going to show y'all directly the results of this one. So after about 2.5 days, we had approximately 1,700 people who responded to the various questions. So one, thank you to all those who were out there contributing to this channel's content, not for the content's sake, but for feedback's sake. I mean, this allows us to go to the, because I share this out with all the content creators. They can have access to this. Archduke helps sort through a lot of the names and his group of people. So there's a lot of amazing people who work together to then give this feedback to Scopely and the Overlords based on what y'all are saying. And obviously they can then choose to listen to it or ignore it. We've seen them do both in the past, and that kind of is what it is. But what we're going to do is go through all those different things, starting with officers. So right now, again, this is the first time we've shared it in this format, but honestly, I figured that there were so many people. In fact, this is the most we've ever had do one of these grading rubrics through a 2-day period. I was like, okay, well, clearly y'all want to discuss this, so clearly I should show y'all what the numbers say. So here's what it was for officer grading. 30% of players giving it an F. And the thing is, when you go through the comment section, now, we haven't finished compiling all the data purely from comments, but when you go through the comment section, it's very clear that the officers aren't seen as bad in terms of like their abilities are bad or anything like. The reason that so many people gave an F is simply due to the overwhelmingly strong abilities that they presented, especially Carol Freeman, but honestly Billups as well as Ransom. So the comments definitely paint a picture that most players, in fact, you see 30% F and basically 20% D, which is, let's go into maybe it's 49.9, basically half of people, almost 900 people here saying that they really, really dislike this new strategy versus only 16% of people approving of it, and then an even smaller one with A+. And I am curious how the A+ sourcing gets in there. I haven't dove deep enough into that side, but I assume it's because that they were providing the battle pass. I'm assuming that A+ has some of the spenders really happy that $20 resulted in a complete unlock of an officer, and that's what they're rewarding. But I still think the numbers are interesting, hence me sharing them in this video. Also want to take a look at the next set, which is actually going to be the Gilded Pickle, which is actually right behind me. So this is, I think, a big one because see, mine's tier 3. I'm obviously not putting as much effort into it as I was the Voyager, but the returns aren't as important as the Voyager, but they are still good returns when you're going through the refinery. It is kind of something that, like, it was really hyped up as being this, hey, full auto grind. You don't have to actually do anything. And it's not necessarily end up being that way, because as you tier this up, you're going to need so much of the second refinery currency. So let me come down here to my Gilded Pickle. You need so much of this. You see a tier 3, I now need 125,000. Only need 60,000. You basically have to leave this thing out 24/7 to start getting what you need to complete that double pull, and it gets worse and worse as you tier up. Now, is that a bad thing? I mean, you can kind of tell me in the comments section down below. Do you see it as a bad thing? Personally, because I've been griping that the game needs more docks, I've been telling Eco this, I've told Game Design that. The game needs more docks for free-to-play and spenders. In this, even though the idea is great, there is a little bit of a catch there, a little bit of a almost a bottleneck in time, because you're going to have to leave it out, meaning you're going to have to grind it out. So you're technically not actively grinding, but you're still spending a lot of time. And here's the grading that y'all gave, at least the people who did the responses. Ship grading for the Gilded Pickle was a 35% F. And I don't think the refinery issue is necessarily there, but I do think it's something that more people will acknowledge as they go in. Personally, I don't think it's a huge problem with the refinery, but it is something worth knowing because it's tying up a dock. And sure, I have the 2 paid docks on this account. I don't have it on my other accounts, but even here, this is tying up a slot, meaning I normally have 2 minor slots. I normally have multiple PvP and Armada slots, mostly Armada slots right here with the Defiant and the Pylum and the Coronar. But even that becomes difficult because you need those support ships to punch up as high as you can. So you're just running out of the ability to do everything. The thing with the Pickle is it's deceptive. It seems like it's easy to complete and it's not much of a time management issue, but it is absolutely a time management issue. And just to put it back on the screen so you can see, right now, look, my refinery. I should probably take this off the screen. Take it out, go. All right, there you go. See, my refinery, after I just did a redeem, I'm still 30,000 short. I'm going to spend several hours grinding to not only complete today's, but then do tomorrow's, as if you're wanting to get all of your pulls in. Not to mention, you also need more for your neural net exchange. So simply putting it out grinding, yes, you do get some as you get more and more, and the better hostiles you kill, the better it goes, but it's still more of a slog than I think initially was sold as because of the active grinding aspect. So again, you see between the D's and the F's, well over the majority of players did not like the Gilded Pickle. Is what it is, right? You can see very few people giving it an A grade. And of course, there was no free-to-play sourcing announced in month 1, unless you count the territory announcement. Next up is the features, which this month was an extension to the Starship Tree, the Gilded Pickle, and everything. And again, you're seeing a consistent theme with this month. People unhappy. Now, the greatest portion of players in the feature grading gave it a C, which is nothing terrible, right? You don't really get mad at C's. C's are fun. So this included in the chart that we did, this included the Starship Extension Tree and the Gilded Pickle and its loop. Now, it should be pointed out that as a whole, the feature got a huge F grade here, but if we broke it down into the Starship Research Extension versus the Pickle itself, the Pickle got a 43, the Pickle loop got a 43% F, and then the actual Starship Extension got much more positive grading. In fact, between that, it was like, I think 40% was in the A and B range. So people liked the Starship Tree Extension that came with the Gilded Pickle, but they didn't like the loop of the Gilded Pickle. So, Scopely, are you listening? You need to pay attention because people are getting way too frustrated through this past month. But let's keep it going because there's still a couple more slides I want you to see. The calendar, which this is actually one of the worst the calendar has done in a while. Calendar's actually been a pretty positive thing historically. And again, if y'all want access to any of these numbers, I'll share with you any month, and I'll share with you the totality of what we have so far in my Discord. Link is in the comments section of this video, or it's just discord.gg/RevDeuce. You can come join in if you haven't already. But calendar had a pretty heavy split and a lot of negativity. And I think a lot of that was, one, you didn't have a lot of synergy between events, and beyond not having synergy between events, you also had problems. Is it okay to call them that? You had problems with some of the overall structures. Now, there were a couple of good things. The Hue Heroic SMS was so loved, they ran it twice, which I guess we can say thank you for. But overall, you can see events not getting the love that Scopely would certainly say that it probably deserved. But at the same time, I can only pass along what y'all have actually sent in as grades. And then last but not least, we're not going to worry about the stability one, but I do want to show you the communication one. Communication with 22% F. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing to say, but that's actually an improvement. Like 39.4% giving it a C. That's actually Scopely doing much better than what they've done in previous months. Again, probably not the best thing, but that's literally a drastic improvement compared to some of our previous months in terms of communication. So, hey, community team, great job. You've reached average. You did it. We know you could. Proud of you. Now, do it again, and then maybe even do better than average. Maybe? Maybe not. Okay, we'll see. But anyway, that's the basics of how the grades were this month. So if you've ever been curious about how that all plays out, what all's there, what it all turns into, well, that hopefully gives you some of the numbers to actually visualize and see. And if you're curious about how this feedback gets used, again, let me know, and I will gladly push it and show you all the things that we do to try to make these things happen. I'm very privileged, I guess, say, because of the community that we have here on YouTube, Discord, Twitch, etc. Facebook, don't want to forget them, even the Reddit people, to be able to have a voice with them. You know, I was able to get, over the past couple months, we've been focusing a lot on getting servers ascension that want us. Shout out to, for example, 107 that we just got ascended, or 106 and 107. It was like 6 different servers. So congrats to them. Worked really hard to make stuff like that happen. I appreciate Scopely listening on those. And that is proof that Scopely will listen on some of these topics. So hopefully more of this feedback will make them listen, especially because this month we had more respondents in those first 2 days for this type of survey than we've ever had for this type of survey. Now, we have had bigger responses before, like we do our incursions ones, but in terms of grading each month, this was the most responsive players have ever been. I was actually a little bit surprised So y'all very clearly have some frustrations to voice and even a few positives here and there. So I'll make sure to say them. And if you have anything that you want to add, or maybe you missed out on this, now's your opportunity, because I'll be going with this video as a recap, as well as going with the detailed numbers and detailed word studies, etc., that we will do with the volunteer team to Scopely to say, hey, this is where we got to get our act together. If you enjoyed the video, all I ask is you hit the like, subscribe, and let your alliance and server know that if there's anything they need in this game or Star Trek Infinite or just in general, to hit me up on Discord or Facebook. I'm more than happy to help out every single person who watches my content. Live long and plunder. Stay safe with the Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Catch you all in the next Star Trek Fleet Command video and the next stream, which is tonight. We're 1 week away from my birthday. Oh, I'm getting old.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.